What is going on, family? It is Recovery Monday after not such a fun game on Friday, but we're still here. We still love our Brahmas. Uh, Maybe it's just an abusive relationship. Anyways, I'm SAJ Loudmouth of the South. You definitely know this guy, but let's get the introduction from this guy.
Oh, I thought you were going to introduce me.
No, we don't do that kind of stuff here, man. Come on.
Have I been around that much that it's just that's just Mike. That's just Mike. That's how long I've been around with you, hanging out with you guys now. But
Oh God,
XO
it's
Mike
good.
G from AFN. Yeah, I'm ready to go and talk about this whole season and how we've been and look at some of
Well,
the
let's
brighter.
hold on. We're not quite done with the introductions yet. Still
Okay.
got me. What's up? I'm BD, and as usual, a crack a beer here. And you know what? With today being Memorial Day, I think we should all, cheers to fellow veterans who lost their lives. Making this country the best country in the world. So cheers to every one of you, and thank you.
Maybe you're not with us anymore, but you'll always be in our hearts, guys. So yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. Some dissection of things that have happened and everything overall. Uh, I obviously most of the crew, in fact, was not really able to make it to this game, just scheduling conflicts and issues and whatever. Um, but BD, you did make it to the game, so why don't you talk to us about like what the overall vibe was? What did it feel like when the team first came out on the field? Like what was going on?
So I did. Me and Brahma Babe and I, we were the ones that were there this game, um, and it was the vibe was cool. Actually, we met the met the players coming off the bus like we always have done. When we've been in St. Louis before, they all came over. Said hi to us and stuff, and it looked the the vibe was good. They felt like they were ready to go. Even kind of we ended up getting on the field passes for pregame for the workouts and stuff. So a lot of coaches came over, said hi to us and stuff as well. Um, it looked good, and they looked like they felt good, and they kind of started off that way, and then kind of went the way the rest of the season's been. So, uh, it is what it is. It is what it's been all season long. So, but the crowd. I know. Last time when y'all went for the game, the section y'all sat in was not very friendly to you guys. Was just kind of rude, crude overall. I will say that was not our experience in the section that we sat in. So,
Clarification. It wasn't that they were necessarily rude to us. It was the things that they were saying to the players, you
okay.
know? So like I wouldn't have cared so much if they were saying I mean some of the derogatory things they said towards the players, if they would have said it to us, specifically to like Renee or Sleepy, yeah, I probably would have had a little bit of a problem with that. But I mean, the things that we're saying to the players, if they would have said it to me, oh, fine, whatever. You live in St. Louis, like who cares, right? Um, but it was just the derogatory things that they were saying at the players. So you're saying you had a different experience this time.
I did, and actually, we sat in a different section, and I think the section that you guys sat in previously, well, I believe that was the section where the whole slap of the fan happened and all that stuff from the Michigan game. So that kind of tracks with what you were saying from your previous experience. But the section we sat in, it was 113. It was a couple sections down from where y'all were at before. The fans we were around, we went in, sat down, and kind of they were all hanging out, and they saw me in my jersey, and obviously Brahma Babe and her get up and stuff, and was like, oh great, all right, and it was like, hey man, just to let y'all know we're loud, hope you're cool with that, because if not, oh well, and what? They were like, "Oh no, that's cool," and we had a great time with the fans around us. We were kind of egging them on when we did something; they were egging us on, and it was a fun experience. And honestly, you know, kind of like when we sat next to the Battle Necks last year. Just that kind of experience where everyone around us, we were like friends. Yeah, we were supporting different teams, but we were all kind of back and forth with each other, and it was a great time. So I had a great experience with the fans and even the tailgate. I mean, you know how the tailgate is down there.
Well, yeah.
When you're in Mohawks Landing, everyone was happy to see us. Giving us drinks, plenty of moonshine, plenty of shot skis, and plenty of food. So it was a great time.
So kind of like when we hung out with the Battle Necks, they like not even halfway through the game were like, "Man, we wanted to hate you guys so bad, but we can't because you are us."
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
okay.
No, I had a great experience last week, and it was just a really good time and just a really good vibe from the people that I was around.
Excellent. Well, I know our friends John and Jill, they always represent well.
Absolutely. Ran into them at the tailgate, so got to say hi to them as well.
Yeah.
Sporting
And
Brahmas gear, by the way, so
Oh, of
good
course,
for them.
right? They're closeted Brahmas fans, thanks to us. But I also know that Daddy Ed had some stuff going on, so he couldn't make it. I don't know all the details, and so I don't want to be telling his business to anybody. But just thoughts and prayers for Daddy Ed as he's dealing with this thing. And
he had a
hopefully
medical
he bounces
emergency or
back.
something. I mean, I know what they posted on Facebook, really, but I mean, obviously, like I said, prayers to him. Hope Big Daddy Ed. Hope you get better, man. Just whatever you got, man. Just get better.
Yeah. And then of course, God, what the heck is his name? Mark with the horns, and then Excalibur, your friend Captain Cockeye, and all those other guys out there, right? They
ran into
do a
Mark.
great
Didn't
job.
see Excalibur during the tailgate, but he came to see us at the game. So saw him a couple times. Said hi to him, and then just great time as always.
Okay, so going back to the vibe, you said that you were talking to the players came off, they were on the field, hopped up, hyped up, kind of ready to go. Did you notice anything change? Like, could you feel a change in the vibe after that first drive?
Not really. I think after the second one where they got the fumble recovery, where St. Louis got the fumble recovery for the touchdown, after that it was kind of like, oh God, here we go. It's gonna be one of those games. Defense. I think defense started off, and St. Louis drove down, and they got maybe not quite the 20, maybe inside the 20. I don't really remember, but defense held them. Kicked a field goal, and all right, cool. Defense let them drive down a little bit, but kind of stopped when it counted, and then the kind of St. Louis just their offense kicked in and they scored damn near every other time down the field. And it was couldn't really stop them. And it is what it is. It's kind of what we've been talking about all season. So
yeah.
Hey, BD, real quick, how many trips is that to St. Louis for you in the last season or two?
It's my third trip. I went twice last year for the final game and the championship game. I did not make our playoff game, and then I did not go to the one earlier this season. So it was my first one this season, third one overall.
I'm just curious because you guys seems like it feels like we've been playing in St. Louis as much as we play in St.
I mean, in the last 2 seasons, we've had 5 games in St. Louis.
That's crazy.
So,
well, and to not to one up BD, but to one up BD,
of course,
XFL season 1 for us, because I've got connections with St. Louis outside of this XFL thing. I went to their home opener against Arlington, and that's when I started kind of noticing, because going into this whole experiment, BD and I obviously we targeted kind of St. Louis because of the numbers that we heard about with XFL 2.0 and all that stuff, right? We figured that San Antonio was going to rally back like they did with the other team that certain people don't want us to mention and whatever. We thought we would have the numbers, so it would just make sense that the two biggest teams with the two biggest fan bases have the biggest rivalry, right? So when I went up to St. Louis, that's when I kind of started noticing that, yeah, maybe they've got the numbers, but if you've got a stadium full of 30,000 people on a crucial drive, you should not be able to turn to the person next to you and have a normal volume conversation and you each understand each other. Like, that shouldn't happen. And it was like, wait a minute. This is supposed to be the biggest and baddest fans on the planet. And I'm having a conversation on a crucial third down stand in the red zone, and the person I'm talking to can hear me clear as day. What's going on with that? But that's for a whole different story or a whole different show. We can, dissect all that. BD, Friday night, you're in St. Louis. Obviously, it's not a game that really matters. There's no playoff implications with us being involved. St. Louis is already locked in and everything. What do those crowds look like?
So early, we got in there early. I've said, we had the passes and stuff, and kind of got to our seats about 30 minutes before kickoff, maybe a little sooner than that. But it wasn't probably a little bit more than what we see at the Dome, and then they kind of started to trickle in more. I don't remember what I think they announced that it was a 27,000 attendance. Obviously, just like the rest of the games, it's tickets distributed, not tickets there. It wasn't close to that.
Was there anything going on that night? Like, obviously the Blues are out of the playoffs in hockey. St. Louis doesn't have a basketball team.
There may have been a baseball game going on. I don't really know. I don't follow Major League Baseball at all. I know when Rob and Babe and I we walked down to a White Castle for my first White Castle experience. We passed the stadium, and they had like noises going on, like they were maybe getting ready for a game or something. So there probably was a baseball game going on.
Yeah, St. Louis had 34,000 for their baseball game that same night. So considering that, that's still a good draw, 27K in the Battle Dome. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. I'm rusty at doing this. This is my first appearance on this show this season. So
Really?
Yeah. Didn't get to do it before, and AFN's kind of been on the DL right now, due to some technical issues and stuff like that.
So, potential baseball game, 27 distributed, probably a little bit more like 10 to 12 in attendance.
I would say, probably 18. 18 I think is a fair assessment, because there are a lot of seats. They do sell the upper decks and stuff. Which those seats are a lot. They're hidden by kind of the lights. It's real dark up there, and it's hard to see how many people are actually up there. I was kind of judging by what the lower bowl was, so I would say 18 in attendance is probably a fair assessment.
Okay. Yeah, it's hard to tell in that upper part of the dome because the air is so thin up there and everything. So, but overall, good experience, lots of fun. Team just didn't show up again.
Yeah, good. And you know what? Like I've been saying for the last few weeks, even though the team isn't doing well, I had a blast at the game. I've never been to a game I didn't enjoy going to, and this was no exception. So, it was cool. Kind of, once again after the game, we went, and I don't even want to know how dusty it is up there. That's probably asthma on a whole different level. After the game, we went out to the buses to see the players off and stuff, and damn near every single one of them came up, shook our hand, gave us a hug, thanked us for coming, thanked us for supporting the team, especially the coaches, Coach Reed, Coach Party. They were real grateful that we went, and we were kind of me and Bromley, we're the last two there. As the buses drove off, we waved bye to them and stuff. So, it's the team appreciates that, and I think that kind of needs to be the mindset for the entire fan base. yeah, we're not doing well, but you know what? The team appreciates us showing up, supporting, cheering, being loud. If you or someone has been to a game at the Chicken Coop, please call 444-4444.
Yep.
Wow.
So, I want to switch gears real quick. Has absolutely nothing to do with football. You brought it up. I've got to ask. What'd you think of White Castle?
It was good. I'd only had the frozen ones before, and obviously those don't
Not
count.
the same.
Do what?
Not the same.
Not the same. No, definitely not the same. Obviously, I got the little 4-pack, that comes with their combo. I probably could have gotten 10 or 12 of them and eaten them. Yes, Jackie's she's in the comments here. I did successfully attempt to eat one in one bite. I will not show that video to everybody just for your sakes. I don't think y'all want to see that, but yes, it was successful attempt at the one bite challenge of of the White Castle slider.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say you didn't attempt. You did it. Like
I did
it wasn't even like a try. Guys, keep in mind. I mean, this is a square burger that's maybe that big. Okay. There's something. If you've never had White Castle, Mike, I got to tell you this part real quick. Okay. There's something special about White Castle, and not in that like good way. When you get a burger that has rehydrated onions on it, and the bag it comes in smells like onions, before you ever even put the food in it, there's something off there. But it's one of those things where, like, Sleepy can attest to this, and Brahmasita can attest to this. Every place kind of has their special little hidden thing that is uniquely that city, right? Like El Paso has, God, what is that place? Yeah, Chico's. There you go. And really, all it is.
I thought you
like,
were going to say Nipple Mountain.
That's on the way. That's
on the way to it. Okay.
Yeah, that's the halfway point. Chico's. Ooh, that could be a whole show in and of itself. Because realistically, they're the same thing. It's just one has mustard, one doesn't. But anyways, Chico's has taquitos in like tomato soup, like a watery tomato soup with cheese melted on top of it. It's the weirdest thing, right? The Midwest has White Castle. You're never going to find one that I know of further south than St. Louis. Now they're further north, but never further south. So like every time you go to St. Louis, you got to have White Castle. Just like you got to have Emo's Pizza, which you have not had yet, to my knowledge.
Yeah.
You did?
We had it the first week we were there. Remember after the game? Remember when there was that shooting like 2 blocks down from the place when we were there?
Which shooting? Because there was 2 that night.
I mean that's true, but it was like literally 2 blocks from Emo's.
Okay, so you've had the cheese cracker pizza.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. But again, like these are staples of St. Louis. So when you go, you gotta have these things every time you go. Mike, you were gonna say something, ask a question, make a statement.
I was just gonna say, for us newbies, because White Castle doesn't exist here in Texas, what is the one bite challenge? I can gather from context, but I want you to break it down for us.
White Castle, if you don't know, it's a slider. That's basically what their burgers are, just sliders. And like Jay said, they're about that big, and just take it out and one bite. That was it. I killed it all in one bite. So
that's just one slider? I thought it might have been like the 4 that are.
So no. Yeah, but the combo comes with 4 sliders and then fries and a drink.
Oh, one of those.
That's the next visit. Is going to be the 4 slider challenge.
I'm gonna stack them and just.
I left Kentucky to go to Ohio to cross the border because that was the closest. Man, I can't even think about it. We're just talking about it. The closest White Castle that I could find. And I've only been there one time.
Oh, White Castle? We talking about White Castle, bro? White
We are
Castle
right
is the
now.
best. The White Castle is the best flushing of the system that there is.
It didn't happen to me, but like I said, I've got an iron stomach, so
Here it
All right.
is.
Here's the video.
I
Dear
feel
God.
bad for whoever you sat next to on the plane.
I thought he was
One
going
bite,
to take
baby.
2 or 3 down at once.
No.
One bite. One bite. Epic.
Right on.
So, and then White Castle, being the progressive company that they are, has a bunch of other things on there too that you now have to try. Such as, I know you didn't try them, but the chicken rings.
I saw
Which-
those. I didn't try them though, but
it ain't. They ain't right. Chicken ain't supposed to be in rings.
It's an experience in and of itself that you've got to try. The Impossible sliders, which
so that's what
Definitely
Brahma
is
Babe
not
got
right.
because she is
Right.
vegetarian.
But
So-
the thing is they cook them on the same grill, so she still be getting that same fake beef. Like, well, I mean, I guess it still counts because the beef they use in White Castle burgers isn't even real beef. So
we don't know that.
exactly, that's the problem. We don't know that. But why are we talking about White Castle? Why are we talking about football?
Because what is there really to talk about with what we saw on Friday?
God, we saw.
So-
because we were talking about my St. Louis experience, and I'm
Oh, that
finally
sucks.
Yeah.
got to go to White Castle. So
Oh.
Yes.
obviously we had to let the viewers know about that.
I'm sorry you had to go to St.
Yep.
Louis though.
Nah.
Yeah,
St.
like I
Louis
said,
in and of
I really
itself-
enjoyed this trip. This one was fun. The people were great. Ran into a lot of people. I actually ran it the morning before the game or the morning of the game. We we're walking to go get breakfast. So I actually ran into Coach Beck on the street, and actually it was kind of funny. We're walking down and we see somebody walking up in St. Louis gear, and Brahma kind of turns to me. She's like, "Is that Coach Beck?" And right as she said that, he kind of saw us and he kind of like thumbs down us and stuff and stopped and talked to him for a couple minutes. And, it was cool. It was a great experience.
Cool.
So that's
So-
what,
East
2
St.
for
Louis.
2.
That's what made it great.
You're running into head coaches on the sidewalk here every trip you go. on.
Apparently, yeah, DC, we ran into, Party in the coaching staff. So
No, Dick, I whoever Dick the birthday boy is,
Well, I think we have one of those here in San Antonio.
We
too,
do.
don't we? Yeah, over-
we
what
do.
is it?
That's a national chain.
it's
White
not that good.
Castle, right? White Castle's a national chain. Also, they're just not down south here.
No,
So
we like our gut health down here. So
yes, that's not true at all.
No,
Because I can counter that with so many other restaurants that we have. Anyways, so and there she is, the Impossible Burger
Yep.
Girl, right? Brahma Babe, we were just talking about your fake food that you had.
The
that was
White
cooked on the
Castle.
same grill as BD's food. So
she could have had the chicken rings because that ain't chicken. I'll tell you that right now.
right, we don't know.
Exactly.
We don't
We
wanna-
don't know.
we
That's the
don't-
problem.
We don't want to cast dispersions towards White Castle because we have no idea.
Don't
Okay.
want to know.
So Right.
It's just better that way. But so BD, and we're going to talk about this a little bit when we get into the picks. Talking about the football aspect of things, obviously we know how San Antonio kind of started out. How did St. Louis look on the field?
So they looked really good. I know we were kind of doing our debate when we're going through our power rankings and stuff. I felt like St. Louis looked like the best team in the UFL this past weekend. Just dominant on offense, dominant on defense. I mean, you throw 400 yards in this league. You don't punt for an entire game. And just they looked complete. And what?
So would you say that they looked complete and they looked good because they are good, or because they went against the absolute worst of the worst?
I mean, I think it's both because they've looked good previously, but I think playing us and as bad as we've been definitely kind of made them look a little better, but they still looked really good. And like I said, this league, really hard to put up 400 yards, and they did. So, and it was just like I said, they benched the quarterback at halftime, put in the second string in the second half, and didn't lose a step at all.
And that's bad for us.
Actually, they put in their second string quarterback, and he wound up doing better, arguably, than the first string quarterback. Right? Duggan went 12 of 17, 133 yards. Silvers went 7 of 10, 100 yards.
Yeah.
Right? Completion rating was a little bit lower for Silvers, but a higher quarterback rating overall. So
yeah, and I mean both of them. It's kind of your 30-yard
right.
difference between Duggan, and he had more passes. But the second half, they were pretty much just running the ball, a whole lot, just trying to run the game quickly and kind of pass when they needed to. But they just, like I said, they looked really good, and they're just really impressed me.
Okay.
What do you guys watch the game? You are at Dave & Buster's. I know you were, Jay.
Yeah.
Jorge, I know you said you were somewhere else.
I saw it at home.
At home, okay. Now, what did it look for you guys?
It looked like I should have watched it from home.
Honestly, what I saw from the Brahmas is a team that has given up on the season, on itself, and they're out there just going through the motions. There's a couple players that still are playing hard, but the team as a whole, I don't see a fight in them. I see someone who's been knocked down and they're on the ropes and they're not sure if they want to get off the ropes.
I'm going to disagree with that. And here's the reason why. Not to say that, I get where you're coming from with that, but if you look at the production of Kellen Mond, that first drive, granted, it didn't turn into anything, but the fact that he was out there working those first two drives and was actually making connections. Now, granted, he was doing a lot of throws to Corbin, and to what's his name? Was it Kirkland? You could tell that there's been some time spent with him having been benched, that he's been working on trying to get better and build those connections.
Mm-hmm.
But after about that second, third drive, then that's when things kind of started falling apart again. And it just...
Well, that's what I mean. It's the quicksand. Like, it starts off great. They come out, they come out firing, but then one thing goes wrong, and then another thing goes wrong, and before you know it, they're in over their head, and St. Louis is putting up the most points they ever have in team history against what we saw out there.
And I would disagree with saying they've given up. They don't have fight, because I actually got to watch them on the sidelines, and they St. Louis goes down and scores a touchdown. Defense comes off, they're pissed. If they'd given up fight, then they would just be like, whatever, who cares? But they were frustrated as that game that they couldn't stop them. Offense was getting frustrated, they couldn't move the ball. So you could see that there was fight. They did care about that game. Now, I think at some point, you kind of, hey, these guys are just way better than us. But, come on,
Go ahead, Mike.
Now, I did want to add something. Watching it at home, when they brought in the second unit with Silvers, they were heard on the broadcast saying they did want to run it up. They knew the defense was gassed. They were just trying to score as many points as they could to, quote unquote, earn the home field XFL Conference Championship home field advantage. So one thing that I did notice is on offenses, we kept having procedural penalties and bad penalties and shooting ourselves in the foot. But I wouldn't say the team has given up. It's disheartened, obviously, due to our record missing out on the playoffs, but I wouldn't say given up. The one play that I really did want to bring into the conversation was the play that happened with Jordan Williams, that he got a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct.
So I wanted to ask about that, because it came late, and that's what I heard. I was like, unsportsmanlike on number 15. I was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, and that's not Jordan's nature. He's not the type to. So what happened was he made the play, and as they're going down, I believe it was Pearson. I'm not 100% on that. He went down, and it was the ref, Jordan, and the St. Louis player. And then as he's rolling down, he kind of springs forward past the first down marker, and the ref didn't see it. And he said, it's first down. And Jordan says, it's fourth down. It's fourth down. And the second time he said it, he got a penalty, and I believe he was told, that's enough, and that was enough to warrant the penalty.
Maybe he threw a couple adjectives in there or something.
On the broadcast, that's all he said. They showed a replay of it immediately happening afterwards, and all he said was, "It's fourth down. It's fourth down." Now, looking at it again, the angle of it, it was the first replay. The ref was Jordan's body was blocking the ref's view, so he didn't see that knee go down. All he saw was that player jumping over the first down.
I called it fourth down from where we were at, and then they ended up reviewing it, saying that it was fourth down, and then saying that there was a penalty. So that's why I was like, what the hell just happened?
Yep. And the penalty came from, like Mike said, Jordan questioning. Now, it was heated. That I don't think that there were any, profanity said or anything like that. But the fact that he was heated, you could see the animated. He's like, "It's over there. It's over there." And that's when the ref just.
No, but
that seems a little weak for a penalty. To me.
That's what I'm saying. Let's be real though. Like they're gonna call it fourth down, and then they're gonna find a way to give the ball to keep going so that they can run up the score, so they can earn home field advantage, because we already know, since they already have it, hey, let's help them earn it. You already know how they feel about us. I mean, come on. That's been 3 years in a row now. 3 years in a row.
I don't know if I'm going to go that far. I think the penalty was ticky-tack at best. I think they may have had some words before. Jordan maybe possibly set that ref off. So when he started questioning, the ref was like, "I'm done." There you go. Right? But the fact of him questioning that call should not have been enough to warrant that penalty. That I will 100% say was a horrible, horrible call. I can't speak to necessarily what led up to the ref making that choice to throw that flag, but it was a bad call.
No,
it should never have happened.
I've seen way worse from other teams and other players, and I'm going to reference one specific instance last season in the Alamo Dome, during the Birmingham.
You're talking about
this right to the ref's face, doing this right in front of the ref to his face, and the ref just stood there and took it. Like, that's great, yeah, cool, y'all scored, and nothing. Like, taunting a ref is like, come on now. Mm-hmm. Like, but so, and I think this is something that I've also seen as a common thread amongst other UFL communities, is the inconsistencies when it comes to officiating. Things like this can be allowed, but saying, arguing with the ref can be a 15-yard unsportsmanlike conduct. Grabbing a player by the horse collar and pulling him down is a clean tackle, but, walking and accidentally stepping on a player because he put his hand out and while the other guy was taking a step, that's an ejection. That kind of, like, it's so inconsistent. And I mean, I'm exaggerating there on that point, but it's, it's one of the things that I continue to hope that year after year, the officials that are in the UFL do continue to get better, because they are also working towards better opportunities, right? And we want them to get those better opportunities. But the past 2 seasons, I haven't seen that. I have not seen that. And but it's a common theme that I've seen, not just our fan base, but other fan bases from across the league really focus on it and gripe on, is that the officiating is just inconsistent. And I'd have to agree with that. I'd have to agree with that. And
absolutely.
And I guess let me clarify my statement from earlier as far as saying that the team has given up on itself. That may have just been frustration and harsh and, like, just speaking harshly. Because no football team give like if a true football player doesn't give up no matter what, no matter how bad it is, right? A true football team doesn't give up. They'll keep fighting till the end. But when I think it was BD that said they were definitely disheartened. I think the quicksand gets to them. That is much more of an accurate reflection of what I was trying to say versus saying they gave up, because so you were spot on. I think you capture what I was trying to say rather than saying no, they just gave up, like this team, like just whatever.
Yeah.
Although I will say on our Tuesday show, BD and I cover a certain team kind of southeast of us that 100% gave up when they got beat 100-12.
What?
That was giving up. Oh yeah.
No, that is giving up.
Well, that
That's
wasn't
giving
the
up.
team that started the season, so
That's true. Also,
does that count?
they got like the bagger from Walmart and the deli clerk from HEB, and
they figured, hey, it worked for Kurt Warner, so let's just bring an entire grocery store staff onto the team. Let's see how they fare.
See what happens.
Yeah.
It didn't work so good when they had me and BD out there on the field. Probably not the best idea. Anyways, here's another thing that's not going to be a great idea, but I think we're probably getting to that point in our show. Let's go ahead and bring on our special guest. And I know this is bad. We should not be doing this, but let's go ahead and bring this guy in.
Hey, look,
God.
everybody makes mistakes. Nobody's perfect.
So. Including Luis Perez throwing an interception when it shouldn't have, right?
Or
yeah.
2 or 3.
I
don't know if you watched our games this year, buddy.
This guy, got to bring him into also.
That's the troublemaker. That's the troublemaker. That's the one that tried to kill Billy, bro.
What is happening, guys? So obviously, you guys are here to kind of hype up this upcoming weekend. We got a lot going on. Let's talk about first things first. Arlington's coming to town, right? Let's talk about what we're doing. What's going on Saturday?
Y'all tell us. I mean, I think we're supposed to be at the Alamo Brewery, right? 4 to
right
7
here. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah, it's the Rivalry Rally Part 2 at Alamo Beer.
Yep. I-35 rally. This is important. Saturday, May 21st, from 4 to 7 p.m. We're inviting all the San Antonio Brahmas fans out to join us with our Arlington Renegades fans. I almost said Dallas Renegades fans. That would be insulting to the town of Arlington.
How did you guys get the first look?
I think they forgot what that hat looks like.
Enjoy it because it'll be the last time you guys see it for the rest of the season. So,
I don't know about that.
But come on out Saturday, right? 4 to 7 p.m. We're going to have music, photo booth.
The Brahma beer will make a return.
Oh.
Well, I mean, not
the cans, but the golden ale,
and
which is inside of the can.
We're just gonna find a random beer called Brahma beer and make you guys happy, and
they'll have the tap on there most likely. But I do want to just mention, and not to air any dirty laundry or anything like this, but this is just the fact of the situation. Alamo Brewery is going through some hard times right now, so having this is not only a matter of getting the community together and hanging out and having a good time, but it's also helping a local brewery and a local business here in San Antonio stay on their feet, which is also super important because, I mean, we're all in this together as a community. So that just think of it that way also when it comes to why. I mean, we specifically chose Alamo Beer because they've been a partner with the team since day one, since the XFL days. And right now they're going through some hard times. And so the fact that we can put this on and have people come out and give them a reason to come out and spend at minimum 1, 2, 3 hours there or more. I mean, why not?
Well, and we've worked with them on several other things before, so this is just kind of the perfect backdrop for us to be able to do an event like this. They've always been very kind and accommodating to us, so it just works out
And-
perfectly. Now,
Yeah, and we got some great charities that are going to be there as well. You see on the flyer, Fourth and Gold, Big Brothers, Big Sisters, just some really really great charities and nonprofits, that they're going to show up. And then the Wild Pony Hat Bar, I think that was the same people that were doing the hats at the Dave and Buster's
Yes, it
season
was.
ticket event. So they pretty cool little hats. They will like brand whatever you want into them and stuff. It's pretty cool little thing. If
now
cowboy hats are what you're into.
True Tempo Amasita made a statement about the Renegades having their own beer. I've heard that they are getting their own beer, but really all it is just PBR filtered through a dirty sock and then left out to go flat and then put in cans and served up.
It sure isn't this. It
Yeah.
sure isn't this.
Could you please get that right and let them know that it's Keystone Light? All right.
No, it's Keystone Light. Okay, I'm sorry. Well, maybe it's a blend of PBR, Keystone Light, and Milwaukee's Best.
Oh,
And then that's filtered
Hey
through.
Jay, we're going for the first Versa, brother.
there's nothing best about Milwaukee's Best.
A little bit of
The
3-day
beef.
old still reserve.
Oh,
Tim, Marco, how many Renegade fans are y'all bringing to this?
So as of right now, we have. I'll be having 22 tickets for our group ticket, and then I know we have a few extra that aren't going to be sitting in our section specifically. For the event Saturday, I think most of us are coming out Saturday. I think there's only a handful of them that are driving out Sunday morning. So
Okay.
Cool.
Well, because
I
there
think
were
it'll be
more
an
Brahmas
early
fans
drive.
at y'all's rally than there were Renegades fans. So, I'm just saying if if it was going to be the same or what.
maybe, hopefully, we'll see.
Well, we definitely will see. And I'm excited, obviously, not just for the rally, but for the tailgating on Sunday as well. Right?
Are y'all
and only
allowed to do
tailgate of
that
the
this year?
season.
Yeah.
It's the first and only tailgate we'll have this
Okay,
season.
first. You know what I'm saying? Potato salad tacos, all
Well,
that good stuff.
See,
Hey, that's
no,
all we're
George.
serving y'all.
no, here's the thing.
George, we don't
No,
want no potato
Here's the
salad, my
thing.
boy.
You don't have to worry about that because I'm not even gonna be there.
Oh man, what do you mean?
So this weekend, I personally will not be at any events, nor will I be able to attend the game. I have family business to attend to in Houston. So just, and this is just family stuff going on, is my father-in-law just beat cancer. So we're having he kicked cancer's ass party. He lives in Houston though.
That's what we're
And-
celebrating right there, man.
And
That's
so we decided, as much as we want to go to this game, that's a once. I mean, he's still here, so we want to celebrate.
Yep.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, don't worry, George. You'll be
Yeah,
there.
because,
You'll be
we
there.
got
We
the
have
sign.
picture of you. You will be there.
Hey, well, hey,
You'll be there in your
sign, baby,
renegade
you
shirt.
will be there.
You know what? If you guys can go and get Sal to sign it and say I love you, man," on there, I'll put on a Renegades cowboy hat at a game next season. How about that?
Well,
But hey,
We're gonna
man,
work on that one, there, my boy.
we're gonna miss you, but shout out to your family. That's an awesome reason to miss the game right there.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
we're gonna miss you for sure, but
At least you won't have to hear Sal for 3 hours. I guarantee you would hear it.
Hey,
But,
you're
I
right.
that's all right.
You're right.
Sal doesn't hear it either. So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
No,
I
he does. Yes, he does.
whenever
only
he
hears
caught
it
it right in
in
front of
his
the end zone,
stadium.
you stopped doing it though. You're
Yeah,
supposed to keep
and
cheering him
he
on
looked
after you
right
caught it
at
in
you
front of
and
him.
dropped the ball. Yeah.
So where y'all
Oh.
sitting at for the game?
I want to say it's section 145. One of the end zones. They call it the visitor end zone. Where we're running out.
Should be the same. Should be the same one that we were sitting in for the championship game against DC.
I know exactly where that one's at. Lost power there for a second, so my electronics are being kind of funky.
Yeah, so we got sections like 1 through
Something
4 kind of scattered throughout there.
Okay.
Yeah,
Very good.
it'll be
of course,
where the
me and
the
Marco
loser-
got to be first row. So Y'all are gonna hate it.
I will
I hope
tell
y'all's fans are ready. Like,
let me give you guys a warning, just a heads up. And this isn't like, oh, hey, you better be careful. No, this is like legit. Alamo Dome security will get upset.
oh yeah, I've heard
If
that
you
bad
hit
too.
the pads on the thing to make noise, they'll come and tell you something.
Yeah, I got in trouble for that the championship game. So yeah.
Really?
Unless
Hey, we're still banditos, bro. You know what I mean? We gotta take it to the limit. We're gonna push these guards to the
Please.
limit.
and
Please.
that's fine. But if the Brahmas are on offense and we're the ones doing it, they don't seem to care.
Yeah, no, they're fine with that. They're fine with noise making and slapping the pads on offense.
Yeah, when we're on offense, because that's what's happened the last 2 home games, and we're like, "Are you people serious?" However, and I posted up his comment earlier, but we do have the announcer on our side, so I hope your team is ready for the warm welcome that we're about to give.
And you can actually hear our
Yeah.
announcer too. It does.
Yep,
And it doesn't rain
and you
inside.
can see our screen, our big screen, and like Mike said, it doesn't rain inside when it's perfectly sunny outside. You guys still couldn't explain that one to me, right?
Man, it's a leaking
So-
gutter. What do you expect?
All the toilets work.
The toilets aren't up on the roof, though, man. Come on, explain that. Water doesn't flow uphill, guys. Not without assistance.
Oh, come
How
on,
is
man.
the
You
roof
know it
leaking?
rained the day before.
It rained like the month before. It doesn't rain in Texas. You know that. So
It's raining right now.
Meanwhile, we're in a tornado watch, and it's like it doesn't rain in
You know what I'm
Texas.
saying? You
That's
can hear the
tornadoes,
thunder
that's not
smacking
rain.
in the background and shit. And he's like, it doesn't rain.
It doesn't rain. Anyways, so yeah, big plans this weekend. Obviously, we've got the I-35 rivalry rally on Saturday night, tailgating Sunday morning, the game Sunday. Obviously, you guys are going to be there to join us for the tailgate, and we should probably mention what lot that's in because, oh God, Milton, here we go.
Watch for the flex cam. This one right here is gonna be on it, 100%.
Yes.
He's gonna be on it.
100%. You
Take
guys,
your shirt.
you
No,
ha-
this time, last game, take your whole shirt off. Take your whole
No.
shirt off and do it. Do it.
absolutely not.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Oh,
BD
come on,
makes
Show
your
those man tits. Show those man tits. Show those man tits on TV, my boy.
No, I showed those at Fiesta, Texas earlier today. I'm done. They're good. They go back in hibernation. Okay.
Have you talked about the inception moment from that last flex cam, Jay?
Jesus.
The picture of the picture of the picture.
Yeah. So was that the first flex cam or the second? That was the second one, wasn't it?
It was the second
Yeah.
one.
So Mike was behind us when they did the flex cam, and so you guys know about the tattoo, right? If you don't, right? The
Oh, there you go.
Bronx
Flex
tattoo.
cam, flex
Right.
cam, flex cam.
Hey, Milton,
Why?
there's your shot right there.
Mike took a picture of me flexing with the big screen in the background, which was on me flexing. And it was like this whole weird inception moment. I was like, "This is a Quentin Tarantino film. What's going on here? I don't understand." And
Now, if it was
so
a Tarantino film, there would have been some feet involved or something, but
Whoa.
Oh,
Okay. All right.
We know who has that
Wow.
finish now.
No, within that picture, and you can even see me on the jumbotron. And then my brother actually posted a picture of me. He sent me a picture of that moment from across the stadium of me taking that picture. So it was kind of this weird moment that got
Just
captured
flex,
like by four different
flex
angles.
Yeah, it was-
camception, man.
yeah, it was just weird, man. It's one of those things where your brain just starts hurting if you look at the pictures, and that I was told there would be no math, so
that's actually true. So yeah, Rob and I actually made the jumbotron in St. Louis, which was surprising as hell.
How'd they react to that?
No, I mean we didn't hear any boos, so
It wasn't
Well, there
Stan
was somebody
Kroenke, so
there.
they didn't care.
yeah.
yeah. I mean, you guys should have started that chant. That might have actually helped a little bit. But anyway, so yeah, I've got mine. I'm waiting.
Don't bubble your balls, man.
Yes,
Me
sir.
and Jay will be on your ass.
Yep. So not like in that way. We don't invite that guy to the games anymore. Long story, won't go into it.
Involves nips.
Oh, anyways, so obviously we're looking forward to having you guys down. It sounds like it's going to be a jam-packed, event-filled weekend. We've got lots going on, and then I'm sure after the game's over, we'll probably hang out and do some crazy stuff for a little bit. Also, we won't keep you guys too terribly long because I know you're going to have to make the trek back to Arlington.
Unfortunately.
That's going to be a long drive with tears in your eyes, so I don't want to cause any safety distractions for you guys or anything like that. So,
I'm glad we won't have any more trophies to bring back because I don't know if I have the room after we have to bring the hat and Riggs' new trophy back and everything else. So, I mean, I'm glad y'all will get to see Riggs' trophy for the first time in person, right? And then we got to take it back.
We get to collect it here in San Antonio.
You see the hat. Remember what it looks like. Then we got to take it back. It's kind of a dick move on our end, but it is what it is.
Just remember, that's going to look really great on camera.
I was just thinking of leaving it, but I got to take it.
You guys can say what you want to do, but when we win on Sunday and it winds back up on Jackie's display for the rest of the season until next season when we see you guys again, and you still don't get it back, yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay? Just know it's going to look really great on Jackie's trophy case. So that's all I'm saying.
Hey, she's gonna have an empty spot again, man, my boy.
Unfortunately, she probably will, right? But at least she'll have a towel there to make sure that no dust collects there, so it's not so super obvious.
I mean, I'll still let her write the score on it. I mean, she can touch it for the last time after she writes the score on it. After we win, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'll just put it back in the case, and I'll put it back in the truck and bring it back.
I have a feeling this game is going to come down to our defense is going to score more than their offense, courtesy of Luis Perez doing Luis Perez.
I have a
things.
feeling this game is going to look like the first game of the season for you guys, and it's not going to be a good look. But it's okay because that's been the other 8 games of y'all season. So,
except for one. Except for one.
That's why I said 8. Y'all got one. That's the other one's 9.
Oh, I guess we already
another sad game for you. So
yeah. How sad? How do you guys feel? We're coming up to the last game of the season. Like this is it for the season, guys.
I mean, it's it for both of us because both of our teams have sucked this year. So
yeah, absolutely. We looked real good in the first half of the season, and then just completely dropped the ball.
Yep. Yeah.
But like it's bittersweet
the last 3 games
because everything we have to do for the season on the super fan aspect, everything we go through for all the tailgates, all the promotions, all the watch parties, everything like it's it's nice to finally have that break for a little bit. But we're then in 2 weeks we're gonna be like, damn, I miss it. But it's awesome how we get to end it with you guys because the best 2 weeks of UFL football are the 2 weeks that we play you guys and we get to hang out.
Started with us and ended with us, man. I feel the same way. With getting to hang out with you guys and the rallies the day before and the tailgates. I mean, dude, you couldn't start or end the season any better.
Oh, and I think it's also going to be good that you don't have to worry about any other game and their result or whatever.
Yeah, we're just there for a fun time.
Exactly. It's just going to be a good time. Whoever wins, we already know it's going to be tilted in St. Louis's favor no matter what, tilted in Birmingham's favor no matter what. So,
like the rough game's going to be that one season that it's our last game of the season, but it's for one of us to get in the playoffs.
Yeah, like that.
That's going to be the tough one.
That's going to be where I'm like, man, this game's going to I want to watch it, but I don't want to watch it at the same time.
You'll see tears on one end for sure.
Well,
one season it'll come down to that.
Yeah, we already know how Jorge looks in a Renegade shirt, so
he looks damn good in it.
Like a busted can of biscuits is how I look.
Anyways, fellas, appreciate you coming to join us. I know, Marco, you've got a show on Wednesdays. You guys want to plug your socials real quick before we kick you off, and then we close out our show with BD's horrible power rankings.
No, you guys got. You know what? We had a little on the show that we had. Man, got a little. I'll get with you that one on Jay. You know what I mean? Okay. But next year, I parted ways with STWF due to some just little things that are on the side.
Fair enough.
But me and Tim will be coming hard
Whoa.
strong next year
Whoa.
on
Yeah,
the
pause.
Los Banditos podcast.
Phrasing. Boom.
Yeah. So next year me and Tim will be coming out with our Los Banditos
Coming
podcast
hard,
next
coming
year.
out. All right, cool.
So
And Marco,
So
don't
this-
forget
yeah,
to
I
send me
mean,
that logo.
Yep.
Marco, send me
Yeah,
that
I
logo
got
so
you.
I can use that.
Okay.
a matter of fact,
Hey,
I'll
you
get
know what?
with
This June 1st, you know what the start of that is, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, pause, man.
Hey,
Look,
hey. Hey, don't throw that's my birthday, my boy.
Yep.
all right.
So
So thank you guys so much for having us on, man. Like Marco
Happy
said,
birthday,
next year
Marco.
we'll be
Happy
starting our
birthday. No
podcast,
potato
so
salad.
we love you guys.
No,
Follow
all right,
me.
thanks guys. We'll see you
Follow
guys
the
later,
Los
man.
Thank you,
Banditos
guys.
Renegade Superfan on Facebook
We'll see y'all on Saturday.
and IG.
there you
Later,
go.
guys.
All right. We'll catch you
All
guys
right, we'll see you
Saturday.
guys.
Be well, man. Safe travels.
My boy.
All right, we're gonna jump into the picks next. So let me pull those up.
This show went off the rails today. That's what happens. End of the season, just whatever.
Yeah. Great stuff. Great stuff. Okay.
All right, so
Here we are with the rankings.
going into the last week, DJ is in the lead by 2 games.
Yep. And we even talked about this last week, didn't we? That all it would take is for 1 or 2 things to go sideways and the standings get completely changed up.
Yep. And I mean,
So,
really,
That reminds me of our fantasy
that's what
football.
happened. I mean, that Michigan game, they were one play away from me and DJ being tied. So that last little 4th down play was all it took. So
Yep.
let's look at the picks for next week.
Okay. So DJ isn't here to defend himself with the St. Louis pick. BD, why are you picking St. Louis over DC?
Honestly, I think it was a coin toss to who was going to win in the game. Obviously, they're both playing each other in the playoffs the first week. The game's already going to be in St. Louis. We know what's going to happen. Both teams are probably going to do the same thing they did last week. Play their starters for the first half, rest for the second, just to keep them fresh, but try to avoid injury. And I think it's going to be a lot like what we saw last year in the last game with the Brahmas and St. Louis. Neither team's going to do anything special. It's all going to be pretty basic plays. You're not going to see any trick plays. They're saving all the good stuff for the following week when it really matters. So
Yeah.
it's a coin toss, and I picked St. Louis. So that was it.
And I got to say, I agree with you. This one was a tough one to pick because, both of these teams have another game the following week, right? And that's the one that's going to matter. This one is done. So it's kind of like who can run it up the first half, and then whose secondaries or whose second stringers rather can actually get some film out there, right?
You know what I think gives DC the edge here, personally, from what I've seen from them all season, is that, in the words of the great Greg Popovich, they got some nasty in them. I feel like they got some nasty in them that St. Louis don't have. These DC Defenders players, they remind me a lot of those old school early 90s teams that were just cold-blooded, and God bless whoever has the Thunder in the background. I hope you're safe.
That was me. My power went out a minute ago.
Nice. Okay, so
But I'll take DJ's spot here. I can do this for DJ. It's like I pick the team with the best record. I pick the team with the best record. I pick the team with the best record, and then I'll pick the team with the best record. That's DJ.
I mean, not necessarily wrong. It looks like I'm odd man out on
Just kidding, DJ.
the Michigan-Houston game. I can understand why everybody would pick Michigan on this game. I'm taking the under on this one for the simple fact that Michigan has a more important game to look forward to. And this one's kind of hard to pick too, right? Michigan's going to play their starters the first maybe half at the most, and then they're going to post up. And
well, I don't think Perkins, because Perkins hasn't played the last couple weeks. I think he's been injured, so I would imagine they keep him rested.
Well, and what I think it's going to come down to is like Houston's probably going to challenge a holding penalty in the first quarter and lose that challenge, and that kind of coaching decision is going to be what gives Michigan the edge.
I think they're going to stuff the head coach in a locker and not let him come out and just let the OC run the whole show. That's what I would do.
I mean, they probably should have done that like week one, and they'd probably be in the playoffs.
Yeah. Now, obviously, we're split on San Antonio and Arlington. I understand, and I wanted to vote with my heart on this one, and I wanted to vote for the Brahmas. But kind of like DJ had said, kind of like Jorge had said, at this point, you got to show me. Like I've tried giving them the benefit of the doubt, and they let me down. I voted against them, and they didn't let me down, right? And so at this point, I mean, Arlington's got the edge. I hate to say
they lost to the twos of St. Louis. I mean, that's
they lost poorly to the twos of St. Louis.
Oh, I think the twos of St. Louis would beat Arlington, but look, I'm a homer for my team. I'm make no qualms about that. I have not picked against the Brahmas the entire season. I'm not going to start now.
You said homer, right?
Homer, yes.
Okay,
yes.
I wanted to make sure I heard that right. Homer.
You're looking way too forward to June, man. So
and I also thought that DJ was going to pick Arlington. So I was trying to earn some ground here. I also thought he was going to pick DC. That was another reason I picked St. Louis. So the way it is right now, DJ is going to end up winning this week because we're not different on 2 games. So DJ is going to end up winning the whole thing.
He could. But that San Antonio game might help you.
We're not different in 2 games. That's the only game we're different in, and I'm 2 back on them. So
right. And then obviously we kind of know the deal with Birmingham and Memphis. Jackie's voting with her heart, and God bless her. I hope she pulls off.
Memphis won the last game against them, so it's not too far fetched. But I do, like I said, none of these games matter. But I do think Birmingham might try a little harder with this one, just because Memphis beat them, and just general pride. You don't want to lose to a team that didn't even make the playoffs twice in a year. So, out of the team's 3 wins, you don't want to be 2 of those.
Exactly. So, and that's kind of why I'm going with of
all the games this week, I think Birmingham's probably going to try the hardest to not, to win that one.
I think DC will surprise. I don't think they want to go out on a bad note going into the playoffs. It's the last game in DC for the season because they're not going to be able to host the conference game. I think they're going to try to win it. They're not going to do anything spectacular, but they might go a little bit longer with their starters and make some more effort to actually get this for the home team, for the home crowd, before they have to go on the road.
Well, and and DC, I'm jealous of them because they don't have to spend 3 weeks straight in freaking St. Louis like we had to last year, which sucked just to get there. Like, that was not fair.
True.
Well, they'll have to go back to back.
Yeah, they're playing in DC for this one.
But we had to do 3 in a row. We had the last game of the season in St. Louis, then we had the playoffs in St. Louis, and then we had the championship in St. Louis. And I'm just like, I am arched. I can't even look at a McDonald's and be like, nah, I'm not.
Well, but shouldn't we have cleaned them in week 10 so we could have gotten home field advantage?
Yes, but that also goes back to what was said earlier about them not showing their hand until the playoff game, and
I mean, even then, neither team was doing anything. Either than we had the chance to win, we just had a kicker that missed a kick. So, but
right. Power rankings.
Well,
Go
hold
ahead
on,
and bring those up.
let's get into when and where the games are at.
Okay, so game 1, nobody cares. Game 2, nobody cares. Third game we care about. Fourth game, nobody cares. There you go.
All right.
And I don't want to hear.
Side
Power
note: I
rankings.
will take Houston over Michigan.
That's a
Power
bold.
rankings.
That's a bold.
You
claim.
skipped over. First screen.
I don't want to hear nothing about we're gonna earn home field advantage from either team that already has home field advantage. You
Yeah.
don't just stop. All right. It was already tilted in your favor. Stop. And I do not agree with this power ranking whatsoever. Number
All right.
one is
So what
way
is
wrong.
what is yours, Jorge?
Now, St. Louis is third at best.
So who's above St. Louis for you?
Michigan.
Michigan
would be
who
number
lost
one.
last week?
Yeah, the Michigan who lost last week without their freaking MVP quarterback is the one who is look. I seriously think Michigan is going to be making the championship this year, as long as they have Bryce Perkins under center.
You know, I agree with you. I think Michigan, healthy quarterback, everything, is the best team in the league. I think they're kind of my favorites right now to win the championship.
And my only disagreement is St. Louis and Birmingham. I think they should be reversed. And here's the reason why. Birmingham played a very tough Michigan team and got away with a 4-point win. St. Louis played a very weak San Antonio team and, racked up 26 points, but it's a weak San Antonio team.
39.
And
It was a
power
26-point
rankings
win.
That's what I said.
Well, you said 26 points. They racked up 26 points.
Well, yeah, they racked up a 26-point lead on San Antonio. Let's put it that way.
We got you.
Against a very weak San Antonio team, obviously, I mean, just about anybody could probably score 26 points on us. No big deal. So I don't think that, regardless of how they may have, I mean, the stats don't lie, but the stats are padded because they played a very weak San Antonio defense. And so that 400 yards, yeah, that's great. They got 400 yards because they played us. So I don't think that automatically puts them at the front of the class. I think Birmingham earned that. So Birmingham should be in 1, St. Louis should be in 2. But other than that, I mean, I agree with the standings.
So here's why, and you saw on the post, these were my rankings, which DJ agreed with, by the way, in our chat. But, last week, St. Louis was above Birmingham in our power rankings, and Birmingham did not look head and shoulders better than St. Louis, enough to overtake to go above them. So that's the reason that I kept St. Louis, at number 1 above Birmingham. Both teams won. Both teams looked good winning. I think St. Louis looked a little better, even though they played a weaker opponent. But that's why I kept them at 1 and Birmingham at 2.
Okay, fair enough. But based on the power rankings, right? Doesn't matter what happened 2 weeks ago.
But it does. It does, because it's what happened last week and then what happened this week. This week is more important, but you also take into account the previous week. So,
and that's the thing about the power rankings, that everybody has a little bit different approach to it, right? In this one, that matters. Some other ones, it doesn't matter. I don't think what happened 2 weeks ago matters to what happened this last week. But again, that's why we do what we do, right? But so obviously, again, we've got a lot going on this weekend. We've got our game on Sunday. We've got games on Friday, Saturday, and then a doubleheader on Sunday.
Rivalry
Make sure
rally.
And most importantly, on Saturday is the rivalry rally.
Right.
Go support your local brewery.
I'm sure that the Alamo's going to have the other games on the game on screen.
You just ask them; they will. Yeah.
In the middle of the rally, but make sure the rally is the most important thing that you go to on Saturday.
Yeah, come out and watch the game at the rally. We'll have it on somewhere. If nothing else, we'll have iPads and whatever, just playing it, because obviously the viewership matters. We want to make sure that, as many eyes are on it as possible. But we also want to make sure you come out to the rally because that's way more important. So,
Absolutely.
that being the case, Jorge, will you be there at the rally?
No, I'm gonna be.
No,
in
that's
Houston.
right. That's right.
I'm
You're
gonna
gonna
be.
be in Houston.
I'm gonna be gone the whole. I leave on Friday, and I won't come back till Sunday. And I won't come back in time to make it to the game.
Well,
Okay.
like we've all said, you said, I mean, you're going to Houston for a way more important thing. So, I mean, for a great reason and just in general, F cancer. So,
Yes. So we'll make sure to hoist one to celebrate with you guys.
absolutely.
Make sure you call Sal for me when he's on the sidelines.
You know what? We'll yell at him for you a couple times.
Thank you.
We'll do
I
it.
appreciate that.
Yeah.
I look forward to this game just so I could do that, and I can't do that this time. So it is what it is.
Maybe I'll channel our friend Jay just when I'm yelling at Sal for Jorge. Our
Yes.
friend is not allowed in any other games.
Yes. I may even call you through Messenger just so you and I could join in at yelling at him. I'll do the yelling and he'll see your face and be like, "Oh, Jesus, can't get away from this guy."
Y'all gotta wear sombreros so he has it like, damn it.
Yep. Well,
I got
Bring
it
a
up there.
tablet instead of a phone so we can get a good picture.
I'll put the sombrero on the phone. So
There you go.
That'll be you. So, anyways, make sure you come out and join us, right? Watch football. I think that's pretty much it, right? Anybody have anything else? Or should we sign the show off in our traditional TTF way?
Or I mean, we're doing TTF tomorrow, so I mean we can sign off that way then,
We'll save it for then.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, guys, make sure that you like and share all the stuff that's going on. QR code over by BD's Big Head. Scan that for some excellent Horns Forward podcast merchandise over here. AFN Network.
Next to Jay's
AFN
big
Network
head.
down there, right there. Yeah. Thankfully, hang on. Let's see. No, head's bigger. We knew that was going to happen. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate you all the time for tuning in.
Y'all be safe out there in the storms.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone stay safe.
So, and tune in tomorrow for Texans Talking Football. And Jorge, I didn't get a chance to ask. Are you still doing Vamos Bramas or?
I think for right now, for the remainder, at least, or I guess for the week of the season, I think we're gonna put it on the shelf and revive it again next season. Just until I can get some timing and logistics, and then with this being the last week of the season and all everything I got going on, I know I probably can't commit to that right now.
That gives me one full season to brush up on my Duolingo Spanish. So there you go. That would be really weird, right? But anyways, XFL Mike G, right? You can follow him at AFN, Twitter. Well, I guess X now. The Instagram, the Facebook, the MySpace, all those good places, right?
Yep. Appreciate you jumping in.
Tumblr.
Whoa.
Yeah,
Live
thanks for having me
journal.
on, guys.
I don't know
Where
what that is.
Jorge's mind? Where is it today?
I don't know.
But no, thanks for having me on, guys. I'm sorry I'm a little bit rusty. It was short notice, and thanks for having me.
My mind is making fun of the Renegades when they set it up. I knock them down. That's how it goes.
Kind of like you knocked down wearing that blue shirt, huh?
It was
Just
black.
saying.
I'm just saying.
Close enough. All right, guys.
As you're wearing the
Y'all.
blue shirt, but
I will see everybody next season because it's our last show, isn't it?
I don't think so.
No, we'll have one more.
But
Okay.
Yeah.
Next week we'll have another one.
at least
right
one more,
before we
and then,
recap.
At least for everyone else who I won't get to see at the Alamo Dome this upcoming weekend, I will see you guys next season. Y'all take care. Horns forward.
All right. We'll see you guys. Hang on. I got to do the video.
who's doing the outro?